You're listening to Count Richard von Couvenhof Kalergi. I'd like to play a recording in full I made down in Ferns last week, and it's an interview with a gentleman called John. I shall play this interview now, so enjoy it. Thank you. Hello, you're listening to Count Richard von Couvenhof Kalergi. Today I have a gentleman here called John, and I'm sitting in a very nice pub in a place called Ballycarney, which is somewhere outside of Ferns Castle, which I had a visit to Ferns Castle earlier on today. But John is an expert in plant and machinery, and I was just wondering, John, if you'd be very kind enough to explain a little bit of your background, but also more importantly the futility and stupidity of renewable energies as a primary source of energy. So please feel to chat away.
Yeah, I'm an industrial engineer, studied in the DIT and studied in America, and came out a member of the American Institute of Industrial Engineers, worked in multinational companies. One of them, foreign direct investment, directly into our 500,000 square feet plant, where we ran most of the equipment at 90% efficiency.
90% efficiency, okay.
And we had a margin on the product of 5%. So if your efficiency is dropped, you quickly move into a loss-making situation. So you have to maintain your operational efficiency. Okay.
And that was 4,000 square metre plant?
500,000 square metre.
Wow.
Feet.
Feet, sorry, okay. That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
And you say that was manufacturing denim, was it?
Manufacturing denim, yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, we're grand. We're just having our own little chat from the far side. But thanks very much. All right. But we'll go ahead, John. So you have basically, would it be correct, 30, 40 years experience in this industry?
About 25 years working with multinationals, yeah.
25, okay. In relation to plant manufacturing and development?
Manufacturing systems, yeah.
Okay.
Investment justification, things like that, capital investment recovery and all that.
Right.
And I quickly saw, when I looked at the decision of the government to invest in wind generation, that was a totally idiotic idea, because of the fact that wind is intermittent. It's unpredictable and has low density energy. Because the operation of the plant is so inefficient, the capacity required to get the type of output they need is massive. Because if a plant works at 30% efficiency, to get 100% you need 3 and a bit times 20%. So the capacity needed to generate the output they needed is, because the efficiency is so low, is 3 times basically what you would need if the plant was 100% efficient. Okay?
Yeah.
Therefore, you have massive capital costs associated with wind generation. The value of the product was, until quite recently, pretty cheap. The reason it's increasing in price is because of the inefficient nature of the process and the amount of capital required to invest in it. So to recover your capital costs, you need very high prices.
Right.
To actually operate on a normal commercial basis, the cost per unit should be at least double what it is at the moment.
Right. So effectively, are we going into the stage of energy suicide?
Yeah, well, if the cost goes up, less people can afford it. So fewer people are going to buy it.
Right.
So what's the point in erecting all these wind turbines if customers can afford the product?
Okay.
There's also plenty of research to say that it's impossible, because if you install all these machines in a given area, because the raw material is wind and the blades extract the energy from the wind, okay?
Yeah.
You reduce the amount of energy that's available for wind turbines, which are downwind.
Okay.
So the more you add, the more you extract, the less is available. So the efficiencies of the turbines are going to drop.
Okay. If they're plantable, if they're built too close to each other.
If they're built too close, if there are too many in a given area.
Yeah.
The level of energy in the wind left will be so insignificant, or will reduce so much, that the output per turbine or per wind farm will halve. So capacity factor will have. And you will need more and more capacity to develop fewer and less output.
Okay.
As you install the capacity, you have to buy it from somebody. But you're producing less output, so how are you going to pay for it?
Okay.
That's the big problem with wind generation.
Right. And in relation to the cost of, say, producing a wind turbine at sea versus on land, there must be a considerably more expense in the production cost as well.
Well, it is, yeah. Basically, these turbines that are not drilled into the sea, that are on rafts in the sea, okay, are 150% more expensive than turbines that are directly drilled into the sea. So the cost of your development cost per megawatt produced has gone up probably by a factor of about 2 to 3 over onshore.
Right. And even if you look at the place that a lot of them are actually built on land, it's actually in vogue.
It is, yeah.
You know?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
The other problem they have is that they're going to have build massive grids, because each wind farm might be 100 megawatts in capacity, but over the year it might produce 20 megawatts. Well, over a year. 20 megawatts at any given time over a year, okay?
Mm.
But if you had a combined cycle gas plant instead of a wind farm with 100 megawatts capacity, you get about 65, 70 megawatts out of it instead of 10 or 20.
So
your grid goes to the plant, not to Mickey's wind farm, Paddy's wind farm, or Troy's wind farm, up the bog, down the hill. You know what I mean?
right.
So basically, you've just one grid going from one plant to the next one,
Okay.
to the customer.
Right. And in relation, what would be like you've voiced your concerns to different ministers for the environment and
No, listen.
the EPA and all that, and you've had any correspondence just ignored.
Walk away, yeah.
Right. And so, what is it that they just can't counter?
Well, no, basically, it's European policy. No matter what the European Commission says, we've got to do it.
Okay.
Whether it works, and they have not proven that it actually will work, because they never did an SCA,
An SEA.
Strategic Environmental Assessment, which is required under the 2001-42 directive.
So does that mean anybody that puts up a turbine is actually basically breaking EU law, their own regulations?
Oh yeah, they're in breach of European law because they never did an SCA, and under the 2001-42 directive in decision C-24/4/19,
Yeah.
it's a legal requirement to do an SCA on the wind energy guidelines, because the wind energy guidelines are classified as plans and programs under the 2001 directive.
Right.
And as they're classified as plans and programs under the directive, they need an SCA, a Strategic Environmental Assessment, which has to be carried out before the program starts.
Right.
And if you carry it out after the program starts, anything that was done before you did the SCA is illegal and needs to be cease operating.
So many of these turbines around the country are illegal then, as a result of that.
There is very doubtful as to whether any turbine installed since 2006 is actually legal.
Right. That's extraordinary.
Yeah, but they've known that because Pat Soros took a case under the Argus Convention
Right.
in the UNEC about 15 years ago,
Yeah.
and he won it.
Okay.
And the only thing they did with Pat in that case was to insult him.
Okay.
But they lost. He won.
Right.
And when he tried to get it through the courts in Ireland to go to the European Court and enforce it, it was bogged down in the courts. He couldn't get out the Irish court.
Right.
Probably deliberately.
Yeah. And just so
But they've known that this since 2010, 2011,
yeah.
that they should have done. The Renewable Energy Application Programme should have had an SCA.
Right.
The UNEC, which oversees the Irish Convention, okay, said they did. Soros won the case. And he went to the High Court, and the only thing the Senior Counsel in the High Court says, they're trying to close down our wonderful wind programme.
Really?
Yeah.
And that was from the judge?
No, Senior Counsel for the state.
Senior for the state.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Extraordinary.
I said basically, from the European law, they're not legal. So that's
Right.
legal.
So in relation, say, like a lot of this stuff obviously is because they believe that the CO2 contribution, man's CO2 contribution is driving change. But I think you and I know that man's the CO2 contribution is 0.04% of the atmosphere is CO2, and man's contribution is only 4% of that.
Yeah.
You know, so how do we get it into people's minds that they're being led up a garden path here with these changes that effectively?
Well, it's all propaganda. If you propagandise fast enough,
Right.
people will believe it, because there's the alternative is not being argued because they won't allow it to be argued.
You never hear an RTE news talk or anything like that, you know. And even if it may, that I discovered recently that I was thinking, where would you find people working in an environment for long periods of time where there is high levels of CO2? And I did a search into nuclear submarines, and the US Navy is happy to have its personnel work in rates of up to 8,000 parts per million and don't see it as a threat. So that has to be signed off by medical doctors who agree that up to 8,000 parts per million long term is not harmful for human beings. So therefore a slight increase in CO2, even over the next 100 years or whatever, it's irrelevant in the scheme of things. And the fact that unfortunately the Middle Ages ended with a slight mini ice age that probably ended in about 1850, just as temperature records began, and the temperature started to increase then after that, but it has nothing to do with CO2. And in fact, if anything, it's the heat that rises causes more CO2 to be released, not the other way around. You know. But
it's basically caused by changes in emissions from the sun anyway.
Yeah, so sunspot activity and Earth's position relative to the sun as it goes through its cycles.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know. But that was all just, you know.
Sunspot activity has been tracked since the time of Galileo. Galileo had a telescope.
Right.
And all he did was look at the sun, but he actually projected the telescope onto a piece of paper.
Right.
And he noticed spots coming out on the sun.
Right.
On the southern continent.
Okay.
And they noticed in between 1650 and 1725 there were zero spots on the sun, and temperatures were dropping.
Right. But that was all. So just, you know, I thought I've had a chance to have a quiet word to you, which I'm very grateful for. And just in relation from what should Ireland do regarding Ireland's energy efficient to be energy independent from all these interconnectors and all these other things? Should they consider nuclear?
Well, I think they should close down the wind program for a start, and then probably open that gas field off West Cork and use the gas for the combined cycle gas plant, and probably build a few small medium reactors, say 500 megawatt reactors, 600 megawatts.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, to still use fossil fuel, if they have to, like, it's and you think like even.
No, you need fossil fuel because basically you have to run nuclear power plants continuously to justify the cost. That's what the conventional ones, but these small medium reactors, because they're built to a technical standard and installed, okay?
Yeah.
Will probably be cheaper to install, so you might not need to run them 100% at a time or very high levels at the time to actually make cover the cost.
Yeah, because that was my thing. Like, if you think of this new builds with the yeah, we're grand. Thanks very much. No, thank you. We'll be back to join our crew in a minute. Thanks a lot. But the fact that all these changes to building houses without chimney pots is completely stupid, and proof of that was if you look what happened in Donegal, where people were back to the Stone Age for up to some places 3 weeks because they had no electricity. The over-reliance of electricity as a primary source of both heat and electricity and other matter, you know.
Yeah, but wind farms, basically speaking, they claim they get 35% efficiency, but in fact, if you look at the Raheen Lee, 20%, it's up in County Wicklow.
Right.
And I have data on the Raheen Lee wind farm going back to 2017 because they ceased publishing the same data about the same time.
Right.
But if you use a frequency analysis and do a weighted average, it's 20%.
That's crazy.
Whereas they're claiming they get 35%, but.
And you were saying as well, you reckon the likes of Siemens, the company will go bust in the next year or two due to gearboxes failing.
Well, basically, it'll take a bit longer than that. The problem is to give a warranty of 5 years for a turbine, because the turbines are failing within the warranty.
Right.
But therefore they have to pay the warranty costs, and the warranty costs are taken.
Right.
But a lot of the people in the insurance business seem to think that Siemens' only job basically survive is to get them last longer than the warranty,
Right.
5 years, and then if they break down, it's the insurance company that pays the bills.
Right.
Siemens are off the hook for failure insurance.
Imagine. And even if it may, the whole blades of the turbine themselves aren't recyclable, isn't that right? And they can only be buried in landfills.
There's no international standard for blades.
Right.
There you see 61400.
Right.
61400-22.
Right.
There's no there's a standard for everything except the blades.
Right. Imagine that. And then, you know, you think of the carbon footprint of the concrete. What's it, 40 tonnes of concrete is needed for a base? Or is it 70 tonnes?
That's the size.
Okay. Right.
The other thing about it is basically the only ones that last 20 years at 33% efficiency are 17 kilowatt turbines.
Okay.
As they built bigger turbines in Denmark over the years,
Yeah.
the efficiency, the output dropped by as much as 40% over 10 years.
Right. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
But the calculations in Ireland are the last 30 years, and will be 30% efficiency for 10 or 15, 20 years.
Right.
Not probably.
Yeah. Scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, John, listen, thanks very much. You're very good. Thanks for your time and appreciate your input. All right. Good night. Hopefully it won't be your last. All right, I'll say good night, good luck, and God bless.
Okay.
Thanks, John. Now, folks, isn't that quite an interview with a gentleman who knows exactly what he's talking about? And I do appreciate his taking the time out to meet up with me. I have to say I enjoyed my day in Ferns. Ferns is a lovely castle. It's the OPW do free every Wednesday in, I think they've got 40 sites around Ireland, and so they're free of charge on the first Wednesday of every month. And nice little village, and Ballycarnew is just outside. Would you believe we couldn't find a place open to eat? So we had to travel a little bit outside of town. Now, speaking of place to eat, I'm just going to pop in here to my one of my haunts when I was younger and have a cappuccino. Hopefully at 20 to 10 you can still get a coffee. So I'll say good night, good luck, and God bless, and thanks for listening, and please like and share, and I hope you find the information in this video interesting. Thank you. Good night. God bless.